I would like everyone to stand as we begin our national anthem. Professor Elizabeth Walcott-Hackshaw, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Dr. Rewati Miraj Sharma, Director, School of Education, the editorial team of the Caribbean Curriculum Journal, past and present, the Caribbean Curriculum Committee, authors and reviewers, guest artist Christina Showers, staff and students of the School of Education, our online viewing audience, welcome.
In life, we mark many special occasions, birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, and each one holds a unique significance. Today, we're here to celebrate a truly monumental milestone for the School of Education, a department of the Faculty of Humanities and Education. We are marking 40 years of dedication, mountain research, countless hours of reading and reviewing, all aimed at bringing to the fore scholarly information that has profoundly shaped our practice, our vision, and our relentless quest to make a real difference in education. Indeed, today we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Caribbean Curriculum Journal. We are absolutely thrilled that you've chosen to be here to share in this incredible achievement with the School of Education. This afternoon promises to be one of genuine enlightenment and revelation. Through the inspiring and rich messages that will be shared, you'll be taken on a journey through 40 decades of the Caribbean curriculum as we honor our past and shape our future. So please sit back and enjoy all that is in store for you this afternoon. Guiding you through this special celebration will be my esteemed colleague, Dr. Vishal Ramjatan, and myself, Dr. Natalie Supol, both lecturers at the School of Education.
Thank you, Dr. Supol. We now turn our attention to the welcoming address. It is my honor to introduce the Director of the School of Education, Dr. Rewati Miraj Sharma.
I wish to stand on established protocol, if that's all right. Yes? Okay. So I will begin by saying good evening, esteemed colleagues, contributors, reviewers, authors, and friends. I want to extend a very warm and cordial welcome to every one of you joining us here this evening, despite the inclement weather outside. I promise that we will be brief and you'll get home safe and sound. It is with immense pride and gratitude that I stand before you today, as Natalie and Vishal said, to celebrate a remarkable milestone, the 40th anniversary of our own born and bred Caribbean curriculum. Today, this evening is not just a celebration of years, but of decades of dedication, scholarship, and the pursuit of knowledge that have shaped academic and professional communities locally and regionally in ways we could have scarcely imagined when the first issue was published. 4 decades ago, the founders of this journal envisioned a platform that would not only disseminate groundbreaking research, but also foster a culture of rigorous inquiry, collaboration, and intellectual growth. Caribbean Curriculum was established with the goal of being a beacon for high-quality Indigenous academic discourse and to provide a space for local and regional scholars to share their research and an avenue through which the boundaries of knowledge could be pushed even further. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the people who have made this journey possible. First and foremost, to the authors who have trusted us with their work. Your insights and expertise are the lifeblood of this journal. To the reviewers and the editorial board members, past and present, your tireless commitment to upholding the highest standards of scholarship has been indispensable. And to the readers who have engaged with the work published in Caribbean Curriculum, taken its insights into the world, and applied them in meaningful ways. Thank you for ensuring that the knowledge embedded in Caribbean Curriculum has made an impact far beyond its pages. I wish to also recognize the role of peer review in driving the success and reputation of Caribbean Curriculum. The process of peer review is the cornerstone of academic integrity, and through this rigorous process, we have been able to maintain the journal's standing as a trusted repository of knowledge. But today is not just about looking back. It is also about looking ahead. As we celebrate our history, we must also consider the future of Caribbean Curriculum. The world of publishing is rapidly evolving. Open access, digital transformation, artificial intelligence, predatory publications, and interdisciplinary research are reshaping the landscape of academic publishing. As we move forward, we must navigate the impact of these changes, and in so doing, we must be vigilant. We must be careful and deliberate to remain committed to our core values: credibility of data, integrity of our publication, and sound global academic collaboration. Let Caribbean Curriculum continue to be a space where diverse voices and perspectives come together, where innovation is celebrated, and where the pursuit of knowledge knows no bounds. As we embark on the next chapter of this journey, starting with our special anniversary edition entitled Celebrating 40 Years of Caribbean Curriculum, Revolutionizing the Status Quo, which will be published in a few months, let me express my deepest gratitude to everyone who has been a part of this story, whether as an author, reviewer, editor, or reader. Together, we have built something truly extraordinary, and together we will continue to advance the boundaries of knowledge for the benefit of future generations. Congratulations to our own Caribbean Curriculum. Colleagues, I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maharaj Sharma, for that truly inspiring and insightful welcome address. We are consistently honored by the presence of the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education. At this time, it is my distinct privilege to invite to the podium to provide greetings or to bring us greetings our esteemed Dean, Professor Elizabeth Walcott Hackshaw.
Thank you, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be here. I always like to come over from humanities over to education There's something very nice and calm about education that I love. And this space is beautiful. So, good evening. I think it's evening. It's so dark outside. It may still be afternoon, but we'll see. Colleagues, distinguished guests, and friends. It is truly a privilege to bring greetings this evening on behalf of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, and also on behalf of the principal of the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. She joins me in congratulating the School of Education on this momentous occasion. Today we celebrate not just an anniversary, but a legacy. 40 years of Caribbean curriculum. And just the name I like to pause at, Caribbean curriculum. It is so important that we have a curriculum. This journal was born right here at the School of Education at UWI St. Augustine. It is truly a remarkable achievement and a testament to the vision and dedication of those who recognized early on the need for a journal that could speak directly to educational questions and realities of the Caribbean. And I dare say of the wider world, because just of the articles that you have written, they don't only have a Caribbean significance, but they also have a global significance, which I think is truly important. Over the decades, Caribbean curriculum has evolved into a vital scholarly space, anchored in the region, but reaching across disciplines and borders. It is a journal we are truly proud of because it reflects the very best of what the School of Education at St. Augustine represents: thoughtful, relevant, and impactful research. Significantly, many of the articles published over these 40 years have been authored by past and present students and staff of the School of Education. This is no small detail. It speaks volumes about the academic rigor and research culture that have been cultivated within the school. It affirms that the scholarship emerging from St. Augustine is not only locally grounded, but regionally and globally relevant. To all who have contributed to this journey, our editors, advisory boards, reviewers, authors, and partners, I extend a heartfelt thanks. Your work has enriched Caribbean education and inspired generations of thinkers and practitioners. As Dean, I look forward to seeing Caribbean curriculum continue to flourish as a proud expression of the school's intellectual legacy and as an enduring symbol of regional research excellence. Congratulations once again on this milestone, and may the next chapter be even more impactful than the last. Thank you very much.
Our program now moves to a dedicated segment where we will embark on a concise narrative journey, exploring the significant research contributions published in the Caribbean curriculum over its distinguished 40-year history. For the past few months, and if you were to look around for those of us who are present, our library staff has meticulously curated various displays, highlighting key research published in the Caribbean Curriculum Journal over the last 4 decades. This afternoon, Dr. Ramjatan and I will guide you through a brief, integrated visual and narrative presentation of this legacy. 40 years ago, a seed was planted, not in soil, but in scholarship. That seed was Caribbean Curriculum, the academic journal of the UWI School of Education, and what began as a small platform for regional research has grown into a dynamic landscape of educational thought, practice, and innovation.
Today, we invite you to join us on a journey through time, insight, and innovation as we uncover the evolution of an academic journal that has shaped Caribbean education, Caribbean curriculum. From its humble beginnings to becoming a cornerstone of scholarly work at the University of the West Indies School of Education, St. Augustine, Caribbean curriculum has told our stories, tracked our struggles, and documented our transformation.
And oh, what a journey it has been. From the challenges of curriculum reform to the complexities of digital learning. This journal has documented it all. Each volume, each article is a glimpse into our evolving curriculum identity as educators and learners. Let's walk through that journey together, one theme at a time. Born from a vision to articulate and archive curriculum educational thought, the journal began as a space for regional dialogue and critique. Early contributions set the tone, emphasizing curriculum transformation, curriculum relevance, and local ownership of educational development.
Stevens, in 1993, called out history teaching for failing to contribute to national identity. Griffith pushed for reflective social participation. And today, we're still reckoning with that call. How do we teach citizenship in a region still negotiating post colonial truths? How do we help students see themselves both as Caribbean and global citizens? Caribbean curriculum provided no easy answers, but it always held the mirror up to us and to our systems.
So, here we are, 40 years later. What began with quiet questions has evolved into a chorus of Caribbean voices, a Caribbean pulse. Across themes, disciplines, and decades, Caribbean curriculum has archived the evolution of education in our region. And it's still going.
Over time, the journal diversified. Science education, social studies, teacher training, language education, and technology all found a place. These weren't just academic topics, they were reflections of national development, regional identity, and pedagogical innovation.
Now imagine this. It's 1996. The UWI declares itself a dual mode institution. And the journal, it jumps headfirst into the debate. Brandon 1996 mapped the early policies. Gare 1996 warned that if openness isn't built into the organization and curriculum, distance education will fall short. From economies of scale to a call for deeper collaboration, the message was clear. Distance education wasn't just a format, it was a philosophy.
In the mid 90s, a bold new theme emerged: distance education. The Caribbean was ready to embrace flexible learning, despite cultural and infrastructural hurdles. The journal became a place to dream about access, equity, and open learning long before Zoom became a verb.
As early as 1985, Caribbean curriculum explored educational technology. From blended learning to game based instruction, the journal tracked it all. It even examined the bring your own device, what we know as BYOD. This model and the challenges of flipped classrooms in our context, as Figaro Henry 2015 studied it right here at UWI. Students spoke of readiness and resistance, a digital leap, but with analog growing pains.
If you want to understand how digital pedagogies took root in the Caribbean, you only need to trace the pages of Caribbean curriculum. The early murmurs began with questions. Could computers really enhance learning? Would teachers be willing to shift practice? As far back as 1994, Prime declared the need for technology education for all children in Trinidad and Tobago. It sounded ambitious then, but look at us now.
Let's rewind to the days of nature study. It was 1956, content heavy, rote based, but change was coming. By 1987, Glasgow emphasized our responsibility to preserve the environment. Fast forward, and we see students learning energy conservation through role play, and girls in urban areas breaking stereotypes in science engagement. Maharaj Sharma 2009 reminded us students have a number of misconceptions about ozone depletion and global warming. But the journal didn't just observe, it guided us to teach better, think deeper, and conserve more wisely.
Environmental education emerged as a critical area, with a call for science teaching to move from rote learning to active engagement. Whether exploring ozone depletion, misconceptions, or using role play to teach energy conservation, the journal advanced the conservation on relevance. In 1985, Beddoe wrote that curriculum change implies changing goals and means, as well as the individuals who are to implement the changes. And so began a conversation that continues today. From the Spanish curriculum in secondary schools to the challenges of implementing CAPE, the journal consistently asked, what is relevant? What is possible? What is Caribbean?
Caribbean curriculum served as a sounding board for innovations such as CAPE, curriculum implementation strategies, and teacher participation in reform. It reminded us that good curriculum is never static. It listens, it adapts, and it empowers. You can't talk transformation without teachers. From team teaching models in the 2000s to clinical supervision in 2020, the journal documented how educators were shaped and how they in turn reshaped classrooms.
As Messiah and James 2020 showed, student centered strategies can create meaningful learning experiences that lead to increased engagement and achievement. Through action research, online interventions, and reflective practice, teachers weren't just subjects of study, they were the study story themselves. It amplified teachers' voices and captured their evolution from passive receivers of knowledge to active co creators of pedagogy.
In the early 90s, Watts declared that little teaching of writing is going on in TNT's schools. That bold statement lit a fire. Over the years, we saw the gap between myth and reality in foreign language policy, Carter 2001, and the rise of student centered literacy interventions using learning logs and audience based strategies, Rampersad et al. 2020. Caribbean curriculum made sure our language classrooms weren't just about grammar, but also about agency, identity, and cultural pride.
Language education in the Caribbean was examined critically, from reading comprehension to phonemic awareness to context in MFL classrooms. The journal challenged myths, spotlighted best practices, and promoted a literacy framework grounded in cultural and linguistic realities.
Back in 1985, Loy spoke of technology's impact. But it wasn't until the 2000s that the conversation ignited. BYOD programs, flipped classrooms, blended learning. And then came 2020. As Ramsawak, Joda, Kalu, and Jagannath 2024 argued, we must shift to more human centered, technologically innovative systems to future proof education.
The journal became our guide through the digital maze, spotlighting both promises and pitfalls. Flipped classrooms that flopped, blended learning that bloomed, always honest, always forward thinking. Today, Caribbean curriculum stands as a powerful intersection, past volumes rich with heritage and future editions brimming with potential. As AI, climate justice, and decolonial pedagogies emerge, the journal remains our intellectual anchor and compass.
The journal is more than paper and print. It is our pulse, a living record of where we've been, a light to guide where we are going. As one article puts it, the curriculum that is to be taught depends on one's perception of the future. Supersad 1994.
We thank you for journeying with us across decades, disciplines, and dreams. And we leave you with this reminder: every article, every theme, and every voice in Caribbean curriculum is part of a larger Caribbean story, ours. Here's to 40 years of reflection, disruption, and discovery. Here's to the Caribbean curriculum. And here's to the future we are still writing together. Thank you. We now move into another valuable aspect of our celebration, where our chair of the Caribbean Curriculum Journal Committee, Mrs. Petronetta Pierre Robinson, will share with us a legacy in motion. Mrs. Pierre Robinson is the managing editor of Caribbean Curriculum. She is a documentalist, indexer of CURIS at the School of Education. Please welcome Mrs. Pierre Robinson.
Professor Elizabeth Walcott Hackshaw, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to break protocol a little bit since I am familiar with all of you as managing editor, but you are not familiar with each other. And we have here categories of users. I'm pleased that Prof. Cornelia, she should have been viewing online, and there are other members of the editorial advisory board like Prof. Russell and Leila Boisel, others who are viewing online. But she said to me, she asked me about the location, and I was like, but you are viewing online. She said, I happen to be in Trinidad, and she is here with us this evening. She said, in typical Trini fashion, the taxi driver told her, rain falling. And she said to him, rain or no rain, I'm going to be there. And she's here with us this evening. We also have another member, retired professor. We are familiar with Lochan. I'm calling you Prof, but yes, lightly. And we have former editor and former librarian at the School of Education, Dr. Primus. Yes. So we are so happy to have, and of course, we have sitting with them one of the chief editors. Dr. Mohammed would have been the first chief editor, and Dr. Sinarayan Singh was the second chief editor. So he said, we have reviewers. If you are a reviewer and author, you can wave your hand, you know yourselves, reviewers and authors, not just from the UWI, but from other universities as well, joining us this evening. And we have students. And the students we invited are students who are interested in research. Ramona constantly contacting me. Mariette, who does good literature reviews as a student. And we have certain others. So these are all the categories. So I broke a little bit. And now I will go back to the script. Okay, thank you for accommodating me. Caribbean Curriculum Legacy in Motion. 40 years ago, the publication committee at the then Faculty of Education set out an event here that is now bearing fruit 40 years later. Indeed, this legacy continues to be in motion. In 1985, the publication committee comprised Dr. Pamela Fraser Abda, who was the chairperson, Dr. Lawrence Carrington, and both sent their congratulations. They were hoping to be here online, but they had prior engagements. And Dr. Carol Keller, who I believe is deceased now. I should here mention that Dr. Pamela Fraser-Abda retired from active service with the journal in 2022. And I think that is noteworthy because she was on the publication committee in 1985 and continued to serve until 2022. And the journal back then was described as an occasional publication of the Faculty of Education, which covered curriculum practices in the Caribbean or relevant to the Caribbean area, and curriculum development in the Caribbean or relevant to the Caribbean area. Forgive me, I'm a librarian and a documentalist and a magazine editor, so I did some digging in all kinds of, right? So contributors to that inaugural issue as follows. The foreword was done by these names you would know. I know them as name, but a lot of you would know them as real people, right? So the foreword was done by I.B. Beddoe, the then Dean of the Faculty of Education. The articles were done. Article 1, John Wilson and Barbara Cowell, First Steps in the Curriculum was the title of the article. Victor Lecloy, the title of the article, The Development of Educational Technology, Its Impact on Education in Trinidad and Tobago. Ewa Taylor, Article 3, Geography, Its Emergence on the Secondary Schools Curriculum in Trinidad and Tobago. The fourth article, Jeanette Morris, Curriculum Development in Trinidad and Tobago, Modern Languages, Practice, Problems, Probability, Past, Present, and Future. Same issues, different contexts. Pamela Fraser-Abda, The Development of Primary Science Education in Trinidad and Tobago. And the sixth article, I.B. Beddoe and K.C. Prasad, Origins and Development of Social Studies Education in Trinidad and Tobago. Later, in 1993, Mrs. Kwamina Igina joined the editorial team, which had grown into an editorial advisory group and an editorial committee. And she joined this team as the first editorial assistant of the journal. Now, by 2009, the editorial structure was reconstituted and persons were invited to serve on the editorial advisory board and the editorial committee of the journal for 3 years in the first instance, with the option to renew membership. The then, which was the first editorial board, comprised Dr. Pamela Fraser-Abda, Dr. Claudia Harvey, Prof. Peter Kutnick. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yeah. Professor Emeritus, the Honorable Errol Miller, Prof. Jeanette Morris, and Prof. Tom Russell. Interestingly, Prof. Tom Russell is still serving as an editorial advisory board member. And Dr. Claudia Harvey in 2022 say, girl, I getting old. Get some young people now. But she still continued giving support. And then after Dr. Harvey, Prof. Pamela Fraser-Abda said, okay, can I take, they asked permission nicely, can I take a rest now? And I said, okay, this is Dr. Barbara Constant. She's one of the copy editors of the journal from another university. They are braving the weather to be here this evening. Mrs. Igina retired in 2016. When I assumed the position of editor in 2018, Dr. Fraser-Abda, Dr. Harvey, and Prof. Russell, as I indicated, continued to serve. And of course, Dr. Harvey and Dr. Abda stepped back from service in 2022, and Prof. Russell is still providing active service on the editorial advisory board. And I think this deserves an applause. Of course, today Caribbean Curriculum continues to provide a forum for the publication of scholarly articles on education systems of the English-speaking Caribbean by scholars both within and outside of the region. This brings me to you, the distinguished staff at the School of Education. Yeah, you need to be applauded for keeping this legacy in motion. Yeah. What I found interesting was that going off script a little bit here. Mrs. Igina left in 2016. I arrived in 2018, but Simon kept it going at that point in time. even though she had left. And then there was a little gap. And when I came, even though I came new, and of course I had to hit the ground running, and Simone told me, don't try to bite off everything one time, because she was aware of the challenges. There were articles waiting for publication in the journal. So it means even when there appeared to be a lull, because the legacy was in motion, persons continue submitting articles to the journal. And they are submitting, even though I have to tell persons, okay, we have a guest issue. Even if you submit, it will not be published until 2020, because persons continue to submit. So you, the staff at the School of Education, need to be applauded for keeping the legacy in motion. In addition to constituting the Faculty Advisory Board, staff also serve as reviewers, authors, and copy editors. And permit me now to acknowledge 5 members of staff, 5, who have authored the majority of articles in the journals. These 5 members are Dr. Susan Herbert with 11 articles, Prof. Jerome Delisle with 10 articles, our current director, Dr. Rati Maraj Sharma, with 10 articles. And you would realize these 3 persons have served as directors. So it means that the journal would have propelled them into research and into their positions as well. Dr. Freddie James with 7 articles. And she also was the recipient of an award, the Research Award from the university. She was also a guest editor for the special action issue of the journal. Authors from across the globe also find a home or a dissemination point for their research in this flagship journal of the School of Education. Submissions are received from local, regional, and international universities. Now coming to the journal. Between the period 2018 and present, Caribbean curriculum was indexed across additional platforms. And this is how librarians think together, because I came in and I said, okay, we want to get in EBSCO. And when I reached out to Simone, she said, I started the process. So it was just a matter of completing the process. And we were indexed in EBSCO Academic Search Ultimate in 2018. In 2019, I pushed and we are currently indexed in the Caribbean Search Platform database of EBSCO. In 2019, we got indexed in ULRIX, which is the serials database. It's an international database for recognized journals globally. By 2020, we were in Education Research Complete, which is an educational database for the EBSCO platform. By 2020 as well, the application to ProQuest came through. So we were on ProQuest Central and the education databases in the ProQuest platform. And currently, we are in process to be indexed on the directory of open access journals. And in 2021, those are the indexing platforms that we have been legacy in motion. In 2021, the online journal system from which the journal operates was upgraded. Policies are constantly being revisited. And in the year 2021, the structure of the journal was again reconstituted. Of course, the dinosaur not around, so they say, because can adapt to change, right? So the only constant thing is change. Of course, I didn't research that to see if it is properly cited, right? So the people who know those where she gets the information from, I didn't cite, right? So that's off the scholarly record, right? So in the year 2021, the structure of the journal was again reconstituted. The position of chief editor was added, and Dr. Jennifer Mohammed was the first chief editor of the journal. The faculty advisory board replaced the editorial committee, so it means that members of faculty of the School of Education would have a part to play in the journal, in screening and in making suggestions for issues, as the case may be. And Abder Harvey and Kurtnik Miller, they all retired, and a new advisory board was installed because you had 4 members of the original board retiring. The visibility of this small but impactful journal is being built as we swim upstream in some downstream realities. But to find out more about the journal, and the legacy in motion, you can visit our website. And of course, we have on display in case you say, okay, persons come see crowded talk and they say, we want to see the evidence. The evidence is right there. So you can take a look at the journals. I put the 98, I am desecrating the time capsule for the 50th anniversary journal with Caribbean curriculum, right? My apologies. But that is only because that is the only issue we have for 1985. And if that goes, I will weep, right? So that's why it's locked in the case. That is the original issue that is there in the glass case. So visit the display. Ironically, one of the articles in the first issue was the impact of technology in education. And 40 years later, this has mushroomed into artificial intelligence. Isn't that ironic? Our special anniversary issue is appropriately titled Revolutionizing the Status Quo, as it situates the journal in an age of AI and other issues. So I will go now to the video and allow the video to do the talking, and then we will unveil the guest issue. So turn your attention to this.
Caribbean Curriculum at 40, Revolutionizing the Status Quo. The chapters, an overview of the special edition structure, introduction, why have we reverted to the status quo, framing the special issue. Article 1, culturally responsive pedagogies. Article 2, indigenous research methodologies and the need for graduate student stewardship. Article 3, social justice and its impact. Article 4, sustaining growth, evolving environmental educational paradigms in the Caribbean. Article 5, scientific progress, science and technology education. Article 6, inclusion and differentiation. Article 7, looking to the future, the role of AI and new and alternative pathways for education. Article 8, regionalism and integration. Article 9, leadership, quality assurance and globalization. Conclusion, revolutionizing the status quo and moving towards a brighter future. The nature and scope of the special issue. This 40th anniversary edition of Caribbean Curriculum is not a quiet milestone. It is a bold manifesto. It declares that Caribbean education must no longer imitate or adapt inherited models. Instead, we claim the authority to define, design, and direct our own systems of learning. The introduction immediately calls for a deliberate disruption of the global status quo in education, making space for our voices, our philosophies, and our futures. Article 1 elevates pedagogies born of Caribbean soil, shaped by our histories, carried in our cultures, and alive in the rhythm of our classrooms. Article 2 asserts the legitimacy and strength of indigenous research methodologies, honoring ways of knowing that are rooted in our lands, our lineages, and our lived experiences. Article 3 makes it clear education must be a tool for social justice, equipping our people not just to succeed, but to transform the systems that once excluded us. Article 4 envisions education as an ecological force, where traditional knowledge and cutting-edge innovation combine to protect our islands and sustain our futures. We do not wait to be included, we lead. Article 5 charts a course for ecological education that is intuitive and responsive to our realities, while showcasing the scientific prowess of the Caribbean. Our science educators, researchers, and creators are not just contributors. They are being sought out globally for their leadership and innovation. Article 6 insists that inclusion is not optional. It is foundational to any vision of a resilient Caribbean. Article 7 imagines societies where justice and joy coexist, powered by artificial intelligence and alternative pathways of education that serve our people on our terms. Article 8 demands that we stop borrowing broken models. Through regionalism and integration, we can construct an educational future shaped by Caribbean priorities and Caribbean power. Article 9 looks back not with nostalgia, but with pride and strategy, offering a nuanced look at globalization, interrogating where and how it truly serves us. It amplifies leadership, quality assurance, and globalization as tools we can wield, not forces we must endure. The conclusion to the special issue is clear. This is not about adaptation, it's about revolutionizing the status quo. Caribbean education is not something to preserve, it is something to lead, to evolve, and to unleash. Authors and reviewers, the superstars behind it all. We want to take a moment to acknowledge that this journal would not be possible without the exceptional talent, time, and experience of both the authors and the reviewers. Their expertise is what makes this issue truly special. The guest editorial team. Edia Copeland Solas is an associate professor and director of teacher education at Mount St. Vincent University. As a science educator, her research focuses on culturally responsive pedagogies in science education for Black learners, addressing common misconceptions in science, teaching science to English as an additional language learners, and identifying barriers to student learning in science. Leah Garner O'Neill is a senior lecturer in chemistry at the UWI Cave Hill campus. Her research is in the scholarship of teaching and learning of science. She has a keen interest in mixed methods research and is a former president of the Mixed Methods International Research Association, Caribbean chapter. She is a former deputy dean and has won awards for her outstanding teaching methods. Phil Quirk is an education consultant and previously Executive Dean of Education, Higher Colleges of Technology, United Arab Emirates from 2013 to 2024. He has been in higher education leadership positions for over 20 years and published widely on teacher education, action research, appraisal, reflective writing, and educational management and leadership. Leila Boisel is an assistant professor at the Higher Colleges of Technology, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, where she has held positions of program coordinator for science education and as an administrative division chair. Her research interests focus on decolonization and post-coloniality, indigenous knowledges and science, curriculum, technology in education, culturally responsive pedagogies, and science education. She is the team lead on this project. We are honored. We extend our gratitude for the trust with the UWI School of Education, St. Augustine campus, and its flagship journal, the Caribbean Curriculum, have placed in us in selecting our bid to act as guest editors. Thank you.
So of course, we could not. The journal is double-blind peer review process, so we cannot reveal the authors and reviewers. That's why the journal is scheduled to be published before the end of the year. The guest editors are all online, so you can show them your appreciation. They are all online, looking on as well. So, having seen the video, ladies and gentlemen, the issue is not yet published. So I will do a virtual unveiling of the journal on the screen. So this is the journal for the special guest issue in commemoration of the 40th anniversary of the Caribbean Curriculum Journal. Here it is. A round of applause for the guest secretary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Pierre Robinson, for that truly insightful presentation on a legacy in motion. Indeed, some very rich history and so much to look forward to. It is truly an exciting time for us at the School of Education and for the UWI St. Augustine campus. In every endeavor, there are individuals whose contributions leave an indelible impression. This afternoon, we wish to formally recognize a select few of these individuals. To commence this segment, Ms. Mirella Sambucharan, lecturer in education, specializing in the teaching of modern foreign languages and co-chair of the Caribbean Curriculum 40th Anniversary Planning Committee, will do this tribute.
Thank you, Dr. Supal, and good evening, colleagues. I stand on established protocols. So, as we celebrate the remarkable 40 years that you've been hearing about of this journal's journey, it is both an honor and a privilege to pause and to pay tribute to some of the individuals whose dedication, whose leadership, whose scholarly excellence have helped shape Caribbean curriculum into what it is today, a respected, enduring voice in Caribbean educational thought. So I want to begin with a woman whose name is synonymous with this journal, and you've heard her name before mentioned this evening, Mrs. Linda Kwamina Ayagino. Mrs. Kwamina Ayagino joined the editorial team in 1993 as the first editorial assistant and rose to become the Caribbean Curriculum's first official editor in 1999, a role that she held until her retirement in 2016. So that is 27, Nalini, tell me if I'm wrong, 27 years of devoted service. Under her editorship, the journal's structure was reimagined. New advisory and editorial bodies were formed, and more significantly, Caribbean curriculum was made available online in 2016. Her legacy is foundational, and her contributions continue to echo in every page of each volume. So let's give her a round of applause. So some of these persons are joining us online, or representatives from their families are joining us online. Unfortunately, they are not present here, but we want to pay tribute to them. So we also celebrate the work of Professor Pamela Fraser Abda, who chaired the publications committee that oversaw the publication of the very first issue of the journal, and that was in May 1985. Her early stewardship lit the path we now follow. She later returned to serve on the editorial advisory board for over a decade, from 2009 to 2022, bringing wisdom, bringing continuity to the journal's development. And alongside her, we recognize two other long-serving members of the advisory board. Professor Tom Russell, who I believe has joined us online, who has been a steadfast contributor since 2009 and continues to offer his insight and his editorial expertise to this day. And Dr. Claudia Harvey, who served from 2009 to 2022, offering her scholarly voice and thoughtful guidance over 13 years. We also shine a spotlight on scholarly impact. Professor Jerome Delisle has authored what is to date the most cited article in the journal's history. Published in volume 18 in 2011, his paper on the benefits and challenges of mixed methods research has not only informed practice, but also marked the Caribbean's place in global academic discourse. In the area of sheer contribution, we proudly honor Dr. Suzanne Herbert, the journal's most published author, with 11 articles authored or co-authored, along with her long-standing service as a reviewer and editorial committee member since 2009. She remains an integral part of our academic heartbeat. Her consistent voice in the journal reflects both commitment and a deep-rooted passion for Caribbean education. And finally, we honor Dr. Jennifer Mohammed, whose relationship with Caribbean curriculum spans multiple roles and seasons. As the first chief editor, as a valued reviewer, author, co-author, and advisory board member, Dr. Mohammed has woven herself into the very fabric of this publication's history. Her contributions, both visible and behind the scenes, have helped to anchor the journal through times of change and growth. So each of these individuals represent a different chapter in the Caribbean curriculum story, but together they exemplify the values that have sustained us: scholarly excellence, service, vision, and an unwavering commitment to the Caribbean. So to them, we say thank you. Thank you for believing in this journal when it was still finding its rooting, for building its structure, growing its reach, and nurturing its voice. The Caribbean educational landscape is better because of your contributions. And as we turn the page on the next 40 years, we do so standing on your shoulders. So with gratitude, respect, and deep admiration, thank you all.
We will now proceed to the closing remarks on vote of thanks, which will be delivered by Dr. Renelle Lee Piggott, lecturer in education and also a member of the Caribbean Curriculum 40th Anniversary Planning Committee.
Good evening, colleagues, friends, distinguished guests. As we bring this momentous celebration to a close, I wish to extend heartfelt thanks on behalf of the School of Education and the Caribbean Curriculum editorial family. We first extend sincere gratitude to our Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Professor Elizabeth Walcott Hackshaw, for her warm greetings and continued support of the School of Education and its initiatives. Thank you, Professor. To our director, Dr. Verity Maharaj Sharma, whose leadership and vision were instrumental in initiating this 40th anniversary celebration. Her unwavering support for research and publication has kept the flame of Caribbean curriculum burning brightly. Thank you so much for your support and your warm greetings, Director. To the dedicated 40th Anniversary Committee, thank you for your thoughtful planning and tireless work in shaping an event that honored our legacy while looking boldly to the future. We also extend warm appreciation to our library staff, who have long been the custodians of this journal's archives and who have always willingly agreed to lending us this space, this beautiful space, and mounting all these beautiful, comprehensive displays. Thank you so much, library staff. Yeah, lots of hard work. Special thanks also to our AV and tech team, whose behind-the-scenes expertise made it possible for us to connect meaningfully across physical and virtual spaces. Thank you so much, tech team. To our distinguished guests, both here with us and joining online, thank you for taking the time to celebrate this academic milestone with us. Your presence affirms the value of the work we do here at the School of Education. Kudos also to the editorial team of the special anniversary issue, whose scholarly rigor and dedication resulted in a commemorative volume that reflects both our history and our hopes. Thanks to you all. To Christina Walters. Showers, my apologies. To Christina Showers, my dear, I'm adding showers and waters together. To Christina Showers for her truly skillful and entertaining rendition of Cocoa Tea on the pan. We are truly appreciative of you and your family for lending us your talent here this evening. Thank you so very much. To the many hands and minds that have nurtured this journal over the last 4 decades, the publication committee, editorial board members, authors, and reviewers, we offer deep gratitude. Your commitment has kept Caribbean Curriculum alive as a space for Caribbean thought and critical educational reflection. Thank you so much. We also thank our reliable secretariat team, Ms. Akita Sumer Warrell and Mr. Maurice Aiton. Melissa Campbell, thank you all so much, whose quiet efficiency ensured every detail of this event that came together smoothly. We thank you all so very much. We also extend thank you to Bind Print and Mr. Clive Strachan for the beautifully designed bookmarks, a fitting and thoughtful keepsake from this celebration. Keep it safe and remember us. As we close, may this milestone inspire us all to continue writing, reflecting, and reshaping education in the Caribbean. The story of Caribbean Curriculum continues, and we are all part of its next chapter. Thank you so much.
Well, it is often said that all good things must come to an end. And indeed, this afternoon we've all been part of something not just good, but great and truly remarkable. So to our valued online audience, we extend our sincere thanks for joining us this afternoon. We encourage you to follow us on our social media pages to stay connected. At this time, we wish you all a good evening, and our live stream will now conclude.